Welcome back to Good Morning Oak Crest. I'm Tamika Harris. Now, studies have shown that 31% of falls in seniors are due to clutter-filled environments. And so today, we bring you a topic of discussion that is entitled Living Safe and Clutter-Free. Today, my guests will join me from Home Health, and they are Jackie Landsman and Kathy Bauer. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Landsman sounds very familiar. I'm sure everybody knows you are Dr. Landsman's wife.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and you've been working here for about 8 years, you say?
Yes, I started over at the care center. I'm a physical therapist, so I worked weekends there. And then about 6 years ago, came over to home health. So I've been doing home health ever since.
Great. And Kathy, how long have you been doing home health?
4 years.
4
4 years
years
here. I've been doing home health a long time.
Oh, a long time, sure. Yeah. Well, ladies, let's dive right on into the topic because I'm sure we have a lot of information to share. You have a lot of information to share with us. So, we're seeing the census, and a lot of our residents have gone to the hospital for various reasons, but some mostly due to falls. How can we help support our residents so that we can at least try to eliminate some of these falls? What are some things we can do in the apartment?
Well, the first thing that I think is important is it's nice to have home health come in and observe the patient in their environment because we're able to look at either some good or bad habits the patient has as they move around their apartment and also how they have their apartment set up. So when we go in for a visit, what we're looking at is we want to make sure, number one, that the apartment has open walkways or pathways that they can get from one room to the other, whether they have an assistive device or not. And we find that there's clutter everywhere. Really? So, and it's not just old newspapers or recycling ready to to go out, but also when you downsize and you come to Oak Crest, you bring a lot of furniture, and so people kind of want to cram everything into the apartment, and the problem is they cannot maneuver safely around it. Okay. So the first thing we do is to make sure that they're able to use their walker, their cane, or their wheelchair and get around their apartment safely. Yeah. So we do clear pathways. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we encourage the resident to always use the assistive device inside the apartment if it's recommended by their doctor or their therapist. And that's because we get so busy doing things that we turn quickly or we may trip over something. So if you have a walker there to help you, we really find that decreases falls.
Oh, okay.
And the tendency is to, you're used to doing things quickly and just moving and grabbing and going, and you reach out for a chair for balance, or you may reach out for a wall, and you're not always sure that chair is stable or stationary, and it may move on you, and then we find that people fall all the time. Yeah, and they'll say, oh, it's okay, I do this, I know where everything is. Right. In the middle of the night you may get up and you expect a chair to be there, and it may have been moved slightly, and over you go and you find yourself on the floor.
Okay, so with all that was said, Kathy, do you have anything to add?
Well, I think certainly when you're, as an occupational therapist, we're looking at your mobility as you do your functional tasks in the home. So if you think about you're using your walker or your cane or whatever in the kitchen, and you need to bring items from the kitchen out into the dining room, or maybe you want to take your coffee to the living room and watch Good Morning Oak Crest. How are you going to get it there, or safely? Okay, so if you are using a walker, there are additional adaptive devices that you could use. You could get a walker basket, you can put a tray on your walker, and that gives you a little bit more freedom because some people will say, well, I really can't carry something if I've got my walker and I'm only going to the dining room. But it can only take those couple steps and have a misstep. Yeah. So that's important. And as she talks about keeping the floors clear of just stuff, we want to make sure as far as scatter rugs too. We don't want scatter rugs that are not going to grip the surface and then
Now, do we have a rule against using scatter rugs here on campus, as you know of?
There's no written rule. I mean, the recommendation, is that you want to make sure if you do have a rug down in your apartment that it has a slip-proof bottom, which is a rubber bottom that grips to the floor, because otherwise as soon as you step onto the rug, it'll slide right with you. So no. The one thing that we find, or that I see can often be a problem, is that people have doormats outside the front door of their apartment. And sometimes they're rather large and extend into the pathway in the hallway. So as other residents are making their way down, either to the dining hall or just through the hallway in general, you know, one wheel of their walker may catch that doormat, which would throw them off balance. So I always try to advise people to not have a doormat outside their apartment.
Right.
Inside your apartment, it's your apartment, you know, and if you can have the slip-proof area rugs or rugs in the kitchen or the bathroom and they're safe, then that's fine. But we do find that usually, you know, we do usually find that they're a fall risk.
Well, another thing, speaking of the floor, is two things. One, a resident may have carpet in their home and yet have scatter rugs on top of carpet.
Right. And that's really not recommended. Sometimes it's because, oh, well, there's a stain there, or it's a heavily trafficked area and I don't want it to get dirty. But we really need to think our resident safety comes first. You know, sometimes if it's, you know, they're just so insistent upon it, you can also get the double-sided tape, because some of the, when you have a piece of carpet on top of carpet, if you either tape it down in the corners, at least your walking device is not going to roll up those edges. But I would say it's best not to have carpet on carpet.
I don't think that's ever a good idea.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm sure happens is some type of plastic cover on top of carpet. You know, those, I don't know what you call them, but they're like plastic mats that
like,
have the little prickly side. On
like
one
at a
side.
desk chair or something, like under a computer desk area.
And most folks have them in their walkways that, you know, have high traffic. I'm assuming that walking devices could get caught on those types of things as well.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is that you have to think about what shoes you're wearing, because if you're in socks or stocking feet, or you have dress shoes that have a slippery bottom, if you're walking across a plastic, you know, pretty slippery covering anyway, that's, you know, a recipe for a fall right there. So we kind of definitely recommend that people do not use them.
But I would say one thing, if you are going to use that plastic piece, let's say it's at your computer table or your desk, and you have your desk chair, which often is a chair on wheels, a desk chair. I often will, I mean, people don't really want to get rid of that because it makes it easier to wheel and whatnot. I understand that. But I often tell people, turn the chair around, back up to your actual desk. So when you go to get up, you're against a firm surface. Otherwise, you're on wheels easily when you go to get up and sit down. Back it up to the table itself so it is stable. I mean, that's, I think, the safest way to do it if you're going to...
That's when you're getting ready to leave
when
the
you're getting ready to
area.
sit onto the chair and sit at your computer, back it up to the table so it's not going to roll away.
I see.
And then when you get ready to get away from your computer, turn your chair around so now your back is against your desk. It's not going to move when you go to push yourself up to stand.
That makes
because of the wheels.
Sense. That makes perfect sense. Well, we're talking about ways to live safe and clutter-free. And joining me today is Jackie Landsman and Kathy Lauer. They both join us from Home Health, and they're very instrumental in how this conversation can continue today, because I'm telling you, they work in apartments every day, so I'm sure they have some wonderful information for us about ways to live safe and clutter-free. Ladies, just to know for a second and break down things, I know that both of you work in Home Health, but you both have different titles as well. Tell us, Kathy, what do you do in Home Health?
Well, I'm occupational therapy. So when I meet a new resident, I often say, because they think, occupational therapy, are you going to get me a job?
Right.
Well, of course not. But really, your job in life right now is how functional are you in your home? How safe are you? Your job is taking care of you, your apartment, and all the little responsibilities you do every day.
And having fun.
And having fun, right?
Yeah.
So, but we want to keep you safe when you're showering. We want to keep you safe in the kitchen, just making sure when you're, like you say, you're walking with a device, that alters how we move. So we're always looking at, is there an adapted way to accomplish a task safely?
Right.
And to promote independence.
Right, a way that is different than we're used to when we were growing up and you know, vibrant adults, young adults. Because as we age, our mechanisms work a little differently.
Yeah, sometimes our balance changes a little bit. Sometimes, you know, maybe because something's going on with even just arthritis, we might have more pain. We might have some joint limitations. It might not be so easy to get up and down out of a tub. So you might have an occupational therapist come in and look at how you manage that and say, well, gee, maybe a little shower seat would be better.
Yeah.
Or maybe an extra grab bar would be good.
Well, let's stop right there and talk about the bathroom since you assist folks there too. We were just talking about scatter rugs and how, we want to be careful with those, but also towels could be a big issue in the bathroom. Towels in the shower, I've seen some things like that where people lay a towel down.
That's what they step out onto is the towel. Oh, I step out onto my towel.
So give us some insight on that.
Well, lots of times I really don't like that. I mean, people have their habits, but really, in the bathroom, you're just stepping out of the shower to collect water so you don't have these little puddles on the floor, and that's where these nice little non-skid, small little bath rug. You put it down when you're going to take your shower or your bath and step out onto it. You're not moving, it's not skidding, and then you take it up. And if you have shower doors, you can just hang this small little rug on your shower door.
To dry.
Because towels, I mean, there's no gripper on the bottom, and very easily you can slip. You have to think about what could potentially happen. We don't want to sound negative, but
yet you have to have something down because water and bare floor is not good either.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least where you're going to step out, it would be good to have something stepping on that is non-skid. If you have to have a towel on either side, because sometimes, depending on your shower and whatnot, and you're using your shower hose, people will say, but I get some water on the floor. Well, we don't want water on the floor either.
No, we don't. All right. Well, Jackie, I know you also work in home health, but what is your position or title?
I'm a physical therapist, so we work very closely with occupational therapy, and we do overlap, many times working on the same functional task. But mainly our focus is on mobility, so that's walking or ambulation, and then we also address balance and we address transfers, which would be getting in and out of a chair, also getting in and out of bed or up and down from the toilet. In addition to that, we're also looking at range of motion, or how well you can move your arms and your legs, and your strength, because we find that as we age, we do lose strength, and we lose endurance. I think endurance is something that I find to be a bigger challenge than actually weakness at times, and it's hard to differentiate between the two.
Okay.
So our job is to improve strength and balance and endurance so that you're able to enjoy the activities, and so that basically your quality of life is better, because there's things we have to do, but there's also things we want to be able to do.
Right.
And I think that's a big focus, at least in home health for us, is that we do focus on the activities of daily living, but we also want you to be able to walk down to the activity room to play bridge, or to get to the fitness center, or to get to your meetings.
Live independently as long as you can.
Right.
And enjoy it.
Yes.
We don't want your whole day to be taken up with, okay, I got up and I brushed my teeth and I sat down, and then I then I took a shower and I sat down, and then I ate my lunch and I sat down, and then I walked to dinner and I came back, and now it's time to go to bed. There has to be something in there, and I think that's important, is that there's goals for quality of life as well.
Well, today's discussion is certainly insightful, and especially when we're talking about ways to live safe and clutter-free. A lot of people don't want to associate themselves with having a fall. And it, for some reason, it seems to bruise the pride of a person.
And the confidence.
And they're very embarrassed about it. And, having a fall is nothing to be embarrassed about, but perhaps we could help our residents find ways to do things better. And that's why you two are here, and you've said that already. So we're talking about ways to live safe and clutter-free. We talked about the clutter. We talked about, the scatter rugs. Anything else that you all see that can help us live better in our apartments?
Well, I would say one thing in the kitchen, since I'm always interested in your daily activities, think about how you have your kitchen set up. Okay, heavier items should be stored in the bottom shelves. We don't want you reaching up. Okay, for heavier items, things that you use every day. Sometimes it's things you could keep on the counter. You might just use the same plate and saucer and cup. Do we have to keep putting things away if your energy is low, if your stamina is down? So having things easy reach, no overreaching because that can set you off balance. There are long handle devices that help you as well, and that's something that the OT might suggest, using a reacher to make life a little easier that way. So having things set up in your apartment to pace yourself and save your energy is helpful as well.
Right. And you know, falls in the kitchen are not pretty either, because there's so many hard surfaces to fall on. So we need to make sure that we stay abreast of that. Now, in the living room, is there anything rather that we can make sure that we keep in mind?
Sure. I think one of the things that I see most often is that if a person uses the assistive device, they leave it halfway across the room, and then they kind of
park it out of the way.
Yeah, they make their way across the living room.
Same thing with phones, right?
Yeah. So that's another good point.
Yeah.
So just to finish on the first one, you know, make sure that you bring your assistive device with you and you sit down, it's in front of you, and you're able to reach it and position it in front of you before you try to get out of the chair. Walkers. If you use a wheelchair, you park it right next to your recliner or wherever you may be sitting, so that you're able to do a very safe transfer back to it. And you do want to use those at all times. That would be one thing. And the best thing is, it is a horrible feeling for the phone to be ringing and it to be all the way across the room. And that's a big stressor.
And most
for
of
residents.
our phones now, it's 2013. Most of our phones are cordless.
Most of them. But the problem with that is you have to have it with you.
Right.
So it's nice to have multiple phones in a house. So if anybody wants to get you a gift for the holidays and it's hard to think about, you want to have you know, a set of cordless phones, and you pretty much want to have one in the bedroom, in the living room, and in the kitchen.
Probably the reason why my grandmother has TVs everywhere
Absolutely.
too, because the remote needs to be around and in a place where you don't have to reach beyond yourself.
Right, and one nice thing that I've seen a lot of residents do is they have one of the organizers that either can flip over the side of the recliner or that can be on the table next to wherever you may enjoy sitting. And in that they have a cordless phone, a remote, Kleenexes, just some basic things so that they're not having to get up and down constantly once they're sitting down. The other thing too is it's really nice to have one of the push to pull mechanisms in your apartment, so that if you were to fall, that you can either push your bracelet or your necklace, whichever you may have, and that'll alert security, and then they can come and check on you.
Now, most of those do come with an extra added fee.
They do. And again, I understand, you know, that sometimes that's difficult, you know, for people to be able to afford. But if you break it down and you look at it month to month, and the other thing too, as I say, you know, talk to your families, and sometimes they want to be able to give you gifts and they don't know what to get you. Well, maybe they could pay for your monthly charges for your push-to-pull necklace, and that would give them peace of mind knowing that if something happened, you'd be a little safer.
Great. Well, I want to break into pets now.
Pets?
Because, you know, when we're talking about clutter-free, not that our pets are clutter, but sometimes if we have younger pets, they can cut your walking and your gait off when you're trying to walk around and move around in your apartment, which may cause an accident or injury. Speak to that. Have you seen any challenges with pets at all?
Well, for me, I think sometimes the challenges that I am directing my energies are, how can they maybe feed their cat? You know, sometimes they can't bend. You know, we have to find a different way for them to set up the food and the water for the animal, you know, or it might be, how do they clean up after the cat? How do they clean that cat litter? You know, and so, you know, I'm thinking, okay, how can they sit down? Can they use an extended scooper to scoop out the kitty, you know, for the cat box? So that's usually my focus. As far as being a fall risk,
I see that a lot, actually.
Or a dog on a leash.
Well, that's a big thing. And, you know, having a pet is such an important part of, you know, your life. It's companionship. You know, it really does help, because, you know, a lot of times people get lonely, and especially if you are not able to get out of your apartment. So with that being said, we totally understand what an important part they are in someone's life. The issues that you have that come along with dogs especially are whether they jump up on you, and if you're already unsteady, to be able to, you know, have somebody, when you walk in the door, being very excited to see you and jump on you, can throw you off balance. And you obviously need to take them outside so that they can go to the bathroom. So being able to bend down and hook a leash on, and then to even be able to walk and control the dog depending on the size is a real challenge. And then once you get outside, you have to clean up after the dog, so which nobody likes. But again, they're bending down, holding the dog with one hand, reaching down, picking up whatever, and then having to coordinate everything. So it's hard, but sometimes, it's just not safe to have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to continue on with our discussion. I have about 2 more things to chat with you all about. One mainly being getting up in the middle of the night. I know we kind of alluded to it before, but getting up in the middle of the night due to having to go to the bathroom or whatever.
Right.
And how do we do that in a way that is safe for us, where we're not disheveled, but we can do that? And let me just say, a lot of our reports from falls have happened in the middle of the night. It's just one of those things.
Right.
So how can we try to, as residents, and I'm going to lump myself in with the residents here, how can we try to be safer in the middle of the night?
Okay. Well, I think the main thing is we have to make sure we have night lights on. So night light in the bathroom and night light in the hallway, one in your bedroom. Whatever works to improve your lighting. I have a lot of residents who access their bathroom through their walk-in closet from their bed through the closet. Some like to keep those closet doors closed. Open them at night. Have a clear access right off the bat, so you don't have to think about setting it up as you're going to be walking into the bathroom.
Same thing with cleaning those shoes up and make sure that that walkway is
yeah, we've talked about those clear walkways. For some, and then you, as Jackie has said before, you have to have your walking device right there, so you're ready to get up and go to the bathroom. For some things might be suggested as depending on how often you have to go. Is there a reason? Could you cut down how often? Is it because maybe you could limit how much you drink after dinner, so maybe you won't have to go as many times? For some residents, we may suggest it would be nice to have a bedside commode next to the bed. If you have an urgency and you know you're not going to get there and now you're rushing, that's a fall risk. So having a bedside commode might be helpful. So now you are just transferring from the bed onto a commode. For some of our male residents, they choose to use a urinal at night, so they're not walking to the bathroom. So those are some suggestions we might make.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing too that I find is, at Oakcrest, I think pretty much everybody has an issue with incontinence, but nobody wants to talk about it, which is a shame, because in our society, guess what? As we get older, it's the truth.
It's true.
So at some point, we just need to be much more open about that. And again, a lot of people wear Depends, or they may wear, some kind of an adult diaper, or pad at night. And when you are getting up at night and then walking into the bathroom, but then you have to take that off and put a new one on, again, can be a fall risk. And what happens is a lot of times people are tired or they're scared to fall, so they just kind of leave them on the floor. But then the next time we come in, now there's something on the floor. So it's important, and it sounds silly and everybody kind of goes like this, but it's real life, and we all do it, so I don't know why everybody's embarrassed about it. But make sure that you have a wastebasket there, so you can make sure that it gets into that wastebasket
and just get rid of it from the
And
beginning.
you know what's great is a diaper genie. And I know people think that's crazy, but when you have young kids, you don't want to deal with the diaper and you don't want it to smell. And so they have these things that you can get that you put it in and you twist it and it seals it. Well, if you use that, then you don't have to worry about it, and then you don't have to handle it, and it's much easier.
It's done.
And
that's an
have
idea.
your supplies nearby.
Right.
Some people have their bag of Depends, but it may not be right there at the commode.
Yeah.
It might be underneath the cabinet under the sink. So now you're sitting
way
on a commode.
far away, like
and now you need to get that. So they might actually have to get up to go and get it. And again, so setup is key. Have things already, like the wastebasket, the diaper genie, the
toilet
supplies,
tissue.
everything.
Yeah,
you're right.
And again, as we get older, everybody has issues, or most people, with vision. So in the middle of the night when it's darker, you're trying to find that Depends under the sink. So have everything very convenient. And then the only other thing I would say when we talk about waking up in the middle of the night is that it's very common after laying flat for a long period of time and then sitting up quickly that people become dizzy. They may have issues with blood pressure. And what's happening is, as you change positions and you sit upright, your body isn't able to as effectively pump blood up to your brain. And it takes a little longer because, you know, things aren't working quite like they used to. So I try to tell people that they need to pause when they sit up and evaluate, do I feel dizzy? And if they do, they can do some simple leg exercises, even marching or straightening their legs and straightening their knee and bending their knee
just to get
for
that
just a couple
circulation.
minutes until they can sit there and not feel lightheaded or dizzy, and then proceed to the bathroom.
Okay.
So
Well, someone watching this show, what do you think would be the essential takeaway from today's conversation?
Essential takeaway.
I think you just need to be able to look at what you do on a daily basis and try to make yourself as safe as possible. And sometimes that may mean using an assistive device when you really don't want to, you know, and that's a hard thing. And I think you need to try to plan ahead so that you have whatever supplies you need around you and so that you can reach them without putting yourself at a fall risk. So we talked about having your phone and your remote close, and we talked about having your bathroom supplies close. You know, it's basically setting your apartment up to make yourself as safe as possible, because we can't guarantee that you're not going to fall.
Right.
You know, I mean, I was walking down the hallway the other day and tripped, and I laughed because I looked around and I said, oh my gosh, if I was a resident here, they would have me like on high alert, you know. But everybody does that. But all we can do is do our best to make us as safe as possible. So, and you know, at the end of the day, talk to your doctor, and you may benefit from having occupational therapy come out or physical therapy come out and take a look at things and take a look at your balance.
Okay. Kathy, anything?
And well, I think the very first thing we said, just make sure those floors are clear. You have open pathways. And sometimes you have to think about, I know I like how my apartment looks where everything is set, but we need to make it safe for your mobility in your apartment.
Exactly.
And that's where everything starts.
And don't let anyone influence you otherwise.
Exactly.
If, you know what I mean? Mom, you know, get this rug, da, da, da.
Right.
If that doesn't work for mom shouldn't get it, you know. So I think we've had a wonderful discussion today about ways to live safe and clutter-free, and I am so glad to have had Jackie Landsman and Kathy Lauer with me today. If you would like to watch today's show from start to finish, feel free to do that at our rebroadcast times of 2, 7, 9, as well as midnight. I'm Tamika Harris. Enjoy your day.